some numbers. First, let me tell you a small story, and this occurs from the Sirah, the life of Muhammad. An Arab Muslim had as a business partner a Jew. Muhammad one day said, "Kill every Jew you can find." And this man killed his business partner. His brother came to him and said, "What are you doing? Are you crazy? You made a lot of money with this man. I thought you were friends." His brother turned to him and said, "Muhammad said, kill every Jew you can find." And his brother looked at him and says, "Your religion has brought you to this? This is great strength. I will become a Muslim." As Osama bin Laden says, everyone likes a strong horse. Islam is the strong horse. So that is part of its attraction. Its conversions to Islam went up right after 9/11. The conversion process goes in different modes. Within the prisons, there is a great deal of conversion for blacks in prison. Okay? One of the things they tell a black man is this: Islam is the religion of the black man. Christianity is the religion of the white man. The most effective antidote to stopping the growth of Islam in the prisons is a book I wrote called The Doctrine of Slavery. I'm the first person to ever go through those 3 books and extract all of what Islam has to say about slavery, and it's a lot. In it we learn, for instance, that Muhammad was a white man. A man rides up to Medina and says, "Where can I find Muhammad?" He's the white man leaning on his elbow. When Muhammad lifted his arms in prayer, I could see the whiteness of his armpits. It repeatedly calls Muhammad a white man. On the day we entered Khaybar, the Jewish city, the wind blew Muhammad's robe back, and I could see the whiteness of his thigh. Muhammad had black slaves. His wife, Aisha, the one he married at 6, consummated at 9, she had a black slave. We know that because when she was caught maybe fooling around, Muhammad and Ali went to Baria, her black female slave, and Ali beat her to extract the truth of Aisha. This was not the first time Muhammad stood around while slaves were beaten. This was before the Battle of Badr, in which he did the same. He prayed while they extracted truth from the 2 slaves they captured. Muhammad had white slaves, Arab slaves, black slaves. What's interesting is, and Jewish slaves, Christian slaves, his favorite sex slave was a Christian woman, a white Christian woman. We know she had wavy hair. By the way, you know all those pictures you'll see sometimes in these books that were printed in, maybe the 1800s, early 1800s, and you have these pictures of the harem, women around in diaphanous clothes, It looks like a fairly attractive male fantasy scene. Did you know what every one of those sex slaves were Christians or Jews? Do you know what the highest priced slave in the Meccan slave market was until 1964 when it was finally closed down? A white woman. The economic records show this. So in terms of the conversion process, I maintain that Christians need to get their boots on and learn who Muhammad was as a slaveholder. I think it might take a little of the buzz off the attraction. Here's another group of people who convert to Islam. And this is a condemnation of our society. Women who are looking for a husband. If it were not for Islam, I would cry for the family. Family in America. So women who are looking for a husband who won't fool around on them and who will bring home a paycheck convert to Islam. And they get that. In England, the biggest number of converts are women. There's another type of person who converts to Islam. There are people who need boundaries. They need to be told what to do. In Islam, you get told how to do everything. How to drink a glass of water. So there's a type of personality that's very attracted to the robot. There's an interesting thing. Half of those who convert to Islam go back. They revert after a year or two with it. It turns out that the living of it might be a little bit different than the telling of it. I do not know exact percentages, but I do know the numbers are growing, and I do know this, that in most churches, if a Christian woman comes, oh, did you know that there's actually a bounty put out by Saudi Arabia on on Muslims who will marry Christian women and Jewish women? Mm-hmm. Money. A bounty. Because Islam sees civilizational war in a true civilizational sense. It uses sex as a war weapon. Muhammad said, the womb is the weapon of Islam. Do you see the thinking here in terms of civilizational war? Do you see how broad they interpret civilizational war? A formidable enemy. But anyway, those are some of the reasons that people convert to it. And then, I've already told you about half of them wash out. And what happens to the Christian woman who comes to her minister and says, well, I'm dating Ahmed and we want to get married. What do you think? Oh, that's good. We all worship the same God. This useful idiot minister sees this as like a marriage that will unite two houses, like two royal houses. Okay? He does not know Sharia law. Now, I claim that it is a sin for a Christian to give advice on something that he knows nothing about, in particular if it does harm. What is the Hippocratic Oath? First, do no harm. Christian ministers must learn Sharia law, at least that it applies to wives. Christians have to stop aiding and abetting the conversion of Christian women. I don't think I've exactly answered your question. I think you wanted the statistic of it's 0.5% now and growing, but I can't give you that. But I have studied the process of conversion. Next question. Yes, ma'am.